I wanted to thank Loren, the leadership team here, the friends and members of the Women's Club who are here today. Major Getz, excellent presentation. I was trying to find something that I could agree with, and I hit on about a 99%, 99.5%, so I really appreciate what you had to say. But thank you for the time. Loren asked me to just spend a few minutes to briefly share with you what's going on in the Blue Ridge Tea Party Patriots. And to start that off, I have the privilege as the chair of the steering committee to work with others who are also here today. And I just would like to call you out. Just raise your hand. Francie Harrell, the back, Francie. Jan McIntosh, Jan. And my wife Ruth here is sitting at the head table. Ruth? All right, thank you. Working together, we've kind of developed a plan I'm going to share with you today. If you're interested in more information, time will not permit me to do much more than just invite you to go to our website. Francie, Jan, and Ruth all have business-sized cards you can take with you today, and you can get better acquainted than time will permit. If you go to our website, there's information there, and much the same as Loren has provided. You know, what does the Tea Party stand for? I think from one Tea Party to another, you'll see some of the same things in terms of principles, both locally and nationally. Also on our website is a calendar, and it's pretty much up to date, but let me fill in some of the details. We meet every second Tuesday of the month at the Bay Breeze restaurant. We had the opportunity in January to spend a little bit of time. Many of us were kind of bummed out after the election. Anyone relate to that? Yeah, so we decided let's take a meeting and let's focus on preparation, what to do in the case of emergency, do things that we have control over. Earlier this month, we were privileged to have Doris's husband. He's known as Commissioner Hawkins, Colonel Hawkins. We call him Hawk. He was there to kind of educate us. What do we need to be thinking about, aware of, focused on relative to the Henderson County, what's going on there, and in particular where we can help him make a difference. And we're pleased to have him there representing and speaking on behalf of all of us. Later this month, or next month I should say, March the 12th, we've invited Sheriff McDonald. You know, the idea of being secure in our persons is something that matters to all of us, doesn't it? And it seems to us that there's some convergence there between our individual interests and what the Sheriff's Department is doing. So Mr. McDonald will be with us to present a Q&A session, and we invite you to that. Beginning with our meeting April the 9th, you've heard some about Agenda 21. And we, quite frankly, as a Tea Party, think it's time to get to work. So beginning with our meeting on April the 9th, we're going to begin to roll out a kind of an implementation strategy. We think it's time to get mobilized. We're going to be sharing with you what are our thoughts and plans, and quite frankly, those thoughts and plans continue to emerge. A number of you have already been involved with this, if not from an educational standpoint, certainly helping your friends and neighbors understand what that's all about. It's a mouthful, isn't it, when you think about it, and we probably need to cut it up into bite-sized pieces, but we're going to start the journey on April the 9th. And I would invite you to join us because I think that's going to be an interesting thing that we can do here in the county. I want to shout out the Asheville Tea Party and the work that Jane and her crew up there is doing in Buncombe County. They've taken the lead, frankly, across the state of North Carolina with regard to the whole issue of gun confiscation. And as a result, we as a Tea Party, the other Tea Parties in Western North Carolina and across the state are able to advantage ourselves based on the fine work that they're doing. We kind of have a vision in the Blue Ridge Tea Party Patriots here in Hendersonville of maybe creating a bit of a goal to become that with regard to Agenda 21. Now the fact of the matter is a lot of Tea Parties across the state are already gearing up and doing a lot of really wonderful work, and we're benefited from that in ways that none of us right now may even be aware of. I can think of one person in particular, not here today, who's in Florida doing a lot of work down there, and we hope when she returns come May, we'll be able to leverage some of the learnings, what worked down there and what's not working. So instead of us inventing the wheel, we can start from where they've left off. And so in closing, what I want to do is I want to comment briefly on something Dave said. You know, I'm not one who's willing to wait until someone at a higher level, state level or nationally, decides that we ought to play in the same sandbox together. and work on some of the same things. So what I would encourage us to do is, quite frankly, the same things that the Democrats did in Colorado. I'm sorry I brought that up. But, you know, it worked. They turned a red state into a blue state. How did they do that? I've shared some information with Loren and some of the other leaders in the community, in the GOP, that, you know, how did they go about it? And Pam mentioned we had an example during the primary and during the general election where different groups in the community, Republican clubs, the Tea Parties that existed at the time, Conservative Christian Action Team, and others who weren't affiliated. We had a number of people we met who are unaffiliated voters who have now become Republicans. We all worked together. We all bumped into each other at the office, making calls, going to knock on doors, etc. And that's a small part of this echo effect, I'm going to call it, that the Democrats use in Colorado. For me, the central thing that we as a leadership group need to do here locally is figure out how can we best leverage what's going on in the other groups, bring it into our group, mobilize and message around it, and follow those examples, and get out of the business of sitting there and saying, you know, we didn't invent this, so we're not going to jump on board. Let's get off that track, and let's get on the track of saying, how are we collectively, whatever buttons we happen to be wearing at the time, how can we make a difference? We invite you to join us because that's ultimately, in a methodology, what we're going to be about, what we've been about in our Tea Party. And with that, thank you for your time today, Loren.